Am I an idiot for kicking my brother and his family out after his son stole my engagement ring? The reason I, male 26, know is because I literally caught him in my room going through my things. And it's on a freaking camera. My nephew is 9 and has a habit of stealing things. They've gotten in trouble a few times at stores because he'd leave with something in his pockets. But off because he's a kid, they usually just say he forgot he had it. Even at school, my brother has told me they have had to come talk to the principal on a couple occasions. Doesn't seem like they've done anything to stop it. They had to come stay here with me because my brother lost his job and they weren't gonna make it with all their bills including rent. He's doing Uber runs while he searches for a job and they can move out. I didn't want to because of my nephew specifically, but family is family, I guess. A month ago I finally bought an engagement ring for my girlfriend that I was planning on proposing to her with soon, but now I don't know. It's a $4,000 ring that I spent over a year saving up for. It's been hidden in my room under one of my drawers. One time when I found him snooping in my room, I told my brother to control his damn kid, then got one of those cheap spy cams in my room just in case. Then last week I noticed it was out of its box. After checking the cam, it showed he was in there again when I wasn't home. My brother and his wife yelled at him. He says he left it by the TV in the guest room, but it's not there. They looked through all their stuff and his too. I know for a fact he's lying about not having it because that's the same thing he said about one of my watches he took then ended up finding it. By the second day my brother tells me they can't find it at all. And I told him either they find the ring or he repays me the $4K I spent on it. If not, they can't stay here anymore. My brother got really upset. He told me I know how their situation is right now. And yeah, it's a tough spot, but I couldn't ignore the fact that his kid, he can't be a parent, took something extremely important to me that cost a lot of time and money. They were given a week to leave my house if they didn't find the ring. They're having to stay at a cheap motel, but my brother won't stop begging to come back because what they're paying right now each night is coming directly out of their savings. He won't stop calling me heartless about letting something like this come between helping them out through a difficult time, and my nephew keeps saying he's sorry. It's just hard right now to want them around. Don't even know what to do about the ring, and every time I think about it, it just makes me so mad that it's hard to care about their situation. Does that make me an idiot? So many of you have asked nonstop for an update. Sorry it took me a while to log back on, but lots of stuff has been going on. Yes, I found the ring. It was a stressful day doing a deeper search in my house, trying to think like my nephew and looking in places where I think he'd hide something if he really didn't want it to be found. And the decision was if it really wasn't found and my brother wasn't able to get him to talk, or they wouldn't be able to pay back what I'm owed, then the police would get involved. He did beg me not to, but I told him then you better pray I find it or you come up with the money to pay me for it. Yes, both our prayers worked because guess where I found it? In the freaking sink. The sink. And that's thanks to the comments who told me to look in those places. What I would have done otherwise. It was the sink that was in their guest room. I'm glad he didn't just throw it away. You guys don't know how freaking relieved I was to find it. Took some work to remove the P-trap under the sink to get it out, but I was just so happy to find it. Same night my girlfriend, fiance, got back, I proposed to her and she said yes. After a nice romantic dinner, just the two of us at home. The plan was to wait, but after all this poop I thought, frick it, I'm proposing ASAP before anything else happens. After my brother heard about me finding the ring, he thought this meant they could come back. I said no. He wanted to argue about this again. All I told him was he's lucky I haven't gone to the cops since there was already video evidence of his son taking the ring and there's no way I'm letting them back in when my nephew wouldn't even say what he did with the ring. I talked with my nephew myself after I found the ring, but he just said he didn't want to tell anyone because then I'd be mad at him for hiding it. Honestly, I just don't have the energy for them anymore. His problem is their problem and hopefully they get him help before it's too late. Only thing important to me is my fiance and I starting our lives and planning our wedding. Thank you Reddit for your help. Seriously, you guys were my lifesavers. Edit to add. I just received this news after already submitting my post for approval and just wanted to add because I'm so happy, but my girlfriend also informed me she's pregnant. She found out while she was on her trip and was waiting for a good time to tell me. Not related to the post, but I'm gonna be a dad. Not an idiot. Never let your nephew into your house again. My guess is that he'll steal something or ruin something out of spite. My guess is that his parents haven't been talking good about you, so he will find a way to justify it. Not an idiot. Congratulations on your engagement. Glad you drew your boundary firm with your brother and his family. You did your best by housing them in the beginning and it's really up to them to figure out the rest. We can only hope that they get your nephew the help he deserves. On to the next chapter with your fiancé to bigger and better things. Am I an idiot for cutting up my wedding dress instead of giving it to my sister who can't afford it? So I was supposed to get married 2 months ago to my ex-partner of 5 years. Sadly, we broke it off because he cheated on me at his bachelor party with a stripper. I had this beautiful dress that cost me around $2,000. I had been very depressed since everything happened because I felt it was somehow my fault for not being sexy enough or not giving him what he wanted. So last weekend I decided to take my power back and I began altering the dress. I have been sewing for 15+ years, so I know what I am doing. I cut it a bit, changed the color to something less wedding y, and after a week of work I had a beautiful gown that I could use for more stuff. The problem comes now. I uploaded that picture of the dress to Instagram with a caption that said something along the lines of "you can change the worst memories" or some poop like that. My sister hits me up and asks me if that was my old wedding dress, and I told her yes. She then called me and asked me why I had done this. I asked her why it was such a big deal, and she told me that I could have waited till after her wedding. I was so confused. Then she reminded me that when we were staying at the hotel where my wedding was supposed to happen, my mom and sister were there cheering me up, and my sister said something along the lines of "oh well, if you are not using it I will." We all laughed, so I thought it was a joke because it was never brought up again after. She just asked me once what material it was, so I assumed she wanted something similar. Now my sister is mad at me and my mom says she understands our povs, but that I could have waited 5 more months till after her wedding to take my power back. Am I an idiot? Edit. Yes, he banged the stripper. Please stop asking me. Edit 2. What the frick is wrong with some of you? Suddenly I am the idiot for leaving my ex for cheating on me because it doesn't count because it was his bachelor party. Do you know how relationships work? Are you also going to tell me that if he cheated on a set it wouldn't count? Or if he left the country? This is hilarious coming from a sub that says cheaters are the worst people in this world. Cheating is cheating. Period. Update. I posted approximately 5 months ago about my sister being mad at me for not giving her what was supposed to be my wedding dress. So after being assured that I did nothing wrong, I decided to try to talk it out with my sister. So I tried calling her, but she had blocked my number. I was very confused and talked to my mother. She was trying to still stay out of it, and I got a little mad and said that it was not fair. That my sister was not right because she never formally asked me, and how I was supposed to just guess that she wanted it. She tried to justify her, but in the end also accepted that my sister was wrong. Nonetheless, she told me to just give her space and that she will just come to terms with it herself. I waited a few days till I met her in the supermarket. At first she tried to act like she didn't see me, but I planted myself in front of her. She was just rolling her eyes saying she had places to be. And I just said, "You know, I hope you notice how unfair you are treating me," and then left her alone. That night I received a call where I was berated for being selfish for about 20 minutes by her. I asked her if she was done and asked her if we could talk it out like adults. She came over the next night and we had an exhausting fight, screaming, crying, and after all was said and done she actually apologized for everything. She was kind of jealous of my dress and of the wedding I almost had. And she was embarrassed that she couldn't afford everything I could and that she felt like she failed as an adult and as a mother. And honestly, I get it. Not because I think she is a failure, but because I get how it feels if your brain tells you you failed at life because you don't have things that other people have. She apologized also because she was trying to blame me for her problems and that everything was easier if she wasn't the one to blame. We talked a lot more until I told her that she didn't need a fancy dress and that we could search for something basic and I could help her to decorate it with something. She agreed and we actually did get to customize a very basic gown. As we didn't have much time, it's not super fancy. Sadly, due to the outbreak, the wedding, which was supposed to happen this month, was canceled. They had a courthouse wedding where she wore one of my dresses and she is celebrating in August if it's possible. That's everything. So even if I was not an idiot and my sister seemed like a brat, she was dealing with some heavy feelings and I still love her. Thanks for the judgment and advice. Not an idiot. I honestly think you dodged a bullet by cutting up the dress. Sure, your sister was salty about it for a long time, but at least you didn't have the permanent memory of her walking down the aisle in your dress. Some petty drama and attitude is far better than a bad experience you will never forget. Not an idiot. Not only do I love this because I remember reading the original, but I love this because your sister was able to pause and truthfully talk about how she was feeling. I'm so happy that you two were able to come together as sisters again after that. It's so unfortunate that after all that, it was cancelled due to COVID-19. To me, it feels like all of us have missed out on at least one important life event due to COVID-19. And the first responders and essential employees have had it bad as well. Do you blame her for cutting up the dress? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for not letting my best friend live in my spare room? So I have this friend Bill, and we've been friends since we were kids and we are now both 30. He's one of my closest friends, and we normally have a great relationship. When I was 19, I moved away from our hometown, went to uni, did some traveling, and have now settled in a town several hours away. I have a good job, great friends, I'm pretty settled. 2 years ago my great uncle died and left me some money, and since then I've been saving as much as possible and I now have enough for a house deposit, which I'm pretty thrilled about. I've started looking for places and I'm hoping to buy a 2-bed flat in the town I live in. Bill has not done so great. He still lives with his parents in our hometown and has worked in the same supermarket for years. I have no issue with this, but sadly Bill is miserable because he hates his job, hates living with his parents, and is generally unhappy. For several years I tried to encourage Bill to move out, and I offered him to move in with me, rent-free, for a couple of months so he could get himself together. Bill always declined, and I probably stopped mentioning it about 3/4 years ago. So the situation: Bill knew I'd been left this money by my uncle, but a week ago we were chatting on the phone and I was telling him about viewing a flat soon. Bill straight up asked me if he could live in my spare room whenever I purchased my place. We haven't talked about it in so long, so I basically said I would think about it and let him know. Bill seemed pretty unhappy by this. I think he was expecting me to not hesitate, but said he hoped I made up my mind soon. A few days ago, I called Bill back and said unfortunately I don't think it'd be a good idea, and he was so angry but also sad. It was horrible. The conversation was pretty long, but he basically accused me of lying to him when I offered he could leave me, and said I was a terribly unsupportive friend. The thing is, I was like 24 minus 26 when I offered Bill my sofa, but life is different now. I have a girlfriend, a goddaughter who I want to sleep over lots, and now I'm a bit older, I just don't want to share my living space. Also, I hadn't said anything to Bill about living together in years and he'd never mentioned it. I feel really bad about this situation, and when I spoke to a mutual friend, she just said it would be nice for me to let Bill stay with me for a bit, but otherwise didn't want to get involved in the argument. I feel like such an arse, but am I an idiot? I wasn't sure whether to post an update, but actually this sub really helped me. However, judging by the responses I got, I'm not sure whether anyone will like what happened. I first had a conversation with my girlfriend. We've only been together a year and I'm buying the flat completely on my own, but there was certainly a suggestion that she might move in with me depending on how things go in the next few months or so. She was, and generally is, pretty wonderful, and she's also met Bill and knows what he means to me. She said if I wanted to offer him my spare room for a few months, then I should go for it. Then Bill, I won't go into too much detail, but I laid it all out for him. I basically said that I didn't want a roommate and that now that I was in a relationship, my privacy was even more important to me. I said that it was important Daisy, my goddaughter, also felt at home in my place, so the spare room was basically going to be hers. I then said that he was one of my closest friends and I'd do anything for him if I could. I said that he could move in with me, rent-free, for 3 months, provided he got a job and saved up some money to rent a room somewhere after. We ironed out a few more details, but that was the general gist. It was really emotional. Bill kept apologizing and we both cried, but it was a good conversation. The reason why I wanted to update is because you, Brecklier, wrote this comment, which was downvoted. No idiots here, but these are the times I hate this sub because the bar is so low. No, you aren't an idiot, but you have the opportunity to change a close friend's life. None of those are good reasons why you can't, they are reasons why you don't want to. You should do better than not being an idiot and be a really good human and let him come live with you. I really appreciated all the responses to my post, but they did initially make me righteously angry, if that makes sense. Through my NT validation, I was kind of getting annoyed at Bill, thinking what right did he have to my home, and how dare he be mad about an offer I made 4 years ago. And then I read the above comment and suddenly thought, yeah, he's got no right to be mad at me, but if he really is one of my best friends, then surely I should help him if I can. And the fact is, I totally can. So there you go. Bill will be moving into my new place, and in the meantime I'm gonna help him rewrite his CV so he can start to look for jobs in my town. Maybe this is a bad decision, and this sub has certainly made me realize I don't owe him anything, but it still feels like the right thing to do. Not an idiot. My best friend helped me start my life over by giving me space in her home with her husband and 2 little boys. That 6 months of generosity changed everything for me. Sure, there were moments when I felt pathetic and raw and embarrassed to accept their charity. I cooked and cleaned for them as much as I could, which wasn't that much, and I left when we agreed I should. Now, I have a full-time job that I love, and I just today got approved to rent an entire house all to myself. I'll have an extra room and a big yard for a rescue dog. I might even be able to realize my dream of fostering a child, maybe even adoption.